What's good? What's up? What's happening, everybody?
What's really good?
This is Keith with the Doop Movie Povcast.
Movie Povcast.
Movie Povcast.
The Movie Povcast. Yes, it's the Povcast. It's like a podcast, but with a V in the middle of it.
That's it.
Yes.
Doop, the Movie Podcast.
Yes. We are the Democratic Order of Podcasters. My name is Brian.
My name is Keith.
And we're here to talk about
Speed Racer.
The 2008 Wachowski sisters film based on the anime of the same name.
Yes, from the 60s.
Yeah. This was one of the first anime imports from Japan to America, was Speed Racer. And it was, they actually changed the name, because in Japan, it was called Mach Go Go Go. Because the main character's name was Go Mifune.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's a big M on his car. It's Mifune Motors.
That makes sense now.
Right. And so it was go, go, go. Like, go fast, go.
Uh-huh.
So they went with the Americanized name of Speed Racer.
Yeah. Which is, it's a better fit, I mean, if it was titled the original title, it wouldn't have sold as many tickets.
Of course not. And
not to say that it did very well to begin with.
No, this movie did not do great. It had a $120 million budget, and it made back $93 million worldwide.
Yeah.
So it lost almost $30 million.
Yeah, at least.
But this was right in the middle of the Wachowskis', golden age, V for Vendetta and the Matrix trilogy and, all that was happening. So
Right.
But yeah, it was based on Speed Racer. And this movie is a visual a lot.
Yes, definitely. It definitely plays around with your eyes. There's a lot of interface edits,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great special effects, and a lot of other special effects are doesn't really age as well.
Mm-hmm.
And even for back then, I don't think I would have looked at it and would have been amazed. I didn't see it whenever it came out in theaters. I just saw this recently based on recommendation.
Right. I saw it in theaters, and I have the DVD, just because I've always found it... The way I describe it to friends is I would say it's a fun movie.
And it is.
It may not be a great movie, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, everything in this movie is turned up to 11.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're in the mood for that, and sometimes you're not in the mood for that.
Yeah.
And so, just it's intense.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. And there's a lot more of the movie than I was expecting. Like, I wasn't expecting 2 hours and 15 minutes of this movie. I got it. It was not
it was
bad
relentless.
Movie. Yeah, that's for sure.
But like we said, it was directed by the Wachowskis, the Wachowski sisters, back then still called the Wachowski brothers. This was pre-transition, and this is the not getting political, but this is of the Wachowski movies that came out in this era, I think this is the least trans identifiable. Like, The Matrix could easily be seen as a trans narrative,
right?
But like Speed Racer is really just an adaptation of the source material.
Yeah, that's all it is. Straight copy for copy.
Yeah, but they just went crazy with the sensibilities of it. It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous looking movie.
But it was made by the Wachowskis, produced by Joel Silver, who, if you're familiar with the ins and outs of Hollywood at all, you've heard that name a lot of times.
You sure have.
Just to give you a small list of the stuff that Joel Silver's name is attached to: the Die Hard and Lethal Weapon series, obviously the Matrix trilogy, the Veronica Mars TV show and movie, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, and so many TV shows and movies that I can't... We'd be here all night if I just tried to list them all.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a well-accomplished producer, for sure.
And it was shot mostly in Berlin.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. In a little town in Germany called Potsdam.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Mostly it was shot on green screen.
Right. Yeah, as you'll come to find out.
Yeah. And just to keep the background going, the score was by a dude named Michael Giacchino, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize.
It'll be okay.
Who you may have heard of him from a bunch of video games, like the Medal of Honor series, the Call of Duty series. He also did the music for Lost.
Yes, which I love.
He was also pretty much the composer of choice for Disney's post-Renaissance. Up, Ratatouille, The Incredibles, Inside Out. You know, those movies were all this guy.
Yeah,
scored them.
Yeah, he is a wonderful composer. He has a long list of accomplishments.
Also, if you want to get into nerd culture, he also scored a couple of movies that you might have heard of: the 2009 Star Trek reboot, and the Star Wars side stories, Rogue One, and I also think he scored Solo, but I'm not certain on that one.
Yeah,
but he's had his hands in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and he can and he does a great job with this film too. You know, that's one of the positives of this movie for sure. You know, it's the score.
Yeah, it's not like super outstanding in the way some of the movies that we've talked about have been.
Right.
It's not bad. The score, it fits the movie very well, and it's not noticeable.
Yeah.
Which
he knows his assignment basically.
Yeah, and it works well with what's on screen.
Yeah.
And what's on screen is almost always a massive visual spectacle.
Yes.
Right. Like the very first image you see. Very first image in the movie is a kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
And, great. Start as you mean to go on. Set the expectations and just roll with it.
Yeah.
So, for this one, Keith is going to be going over the plot, and I'll be supplying some background details as we go.
Before the race begins, Speed is in the locker room. He's jittering his foot, like as in anticipation, before the race begins.
Speed Racer is the main character.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his legit name. Like his first name is Speed and his last name is Racer.
Yeah, and he's played by Emil Hirsch.
Then he has this flashback to whenever he can't focus on this test, and he is obsessed with racing. Mm-hmm. So he legit pencils in "Go Rex Go" on
Rex is his older brother.
Yeah, and you will find out later. And he's in the classroom and he's transforming all the walls and everything else like it is a racetrack.
Yeah, and this is a cartoon around the actor.
Yeah.
So it's obviously like a kid's imagination.
Yes.
Which I thought was a really good visual effect.
Yeah.
And one thing that the teacher says is the flashback involves a meeting with his mother.
Yeah.
Right? And the teacher's like, the only thing he talks about, the only thing Speed seems capable of thinking about is automobile racing.
Right.
And that's when we find out that Speed Racer's dad is Pops Racer, designs race cars, and his older brother Rex is a stunt race driver.
Yeah.
Stunt racing is the sport of the film. It's the same thing they had in the Speed Racer cartoon, but it's really expanded upon. Mm-hmm. And so it's cars that can do jumps and flips, and it's what if Rocket League was a race?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, after the end of the flashback, it goes into the race itself. It's a worldwide broadcast sort of race,
Yeah, Thunderhead is the name of the stadium they're at.
He's going along the race, and they keep talking about the same mistake the brothers made. This ominous sort of text going about it.
Because Speed is blazing ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, and he's because there's this little ghost apparition. It's not really there, obviously. But of what his brother's progress is in the same race, pretty much, and he's almost beating his brother's record. Pretty much.
Because his brother Rex 8 years ago set the record for the fastest time on this track ever. And at one point, and this is a great introduction to Sparky, one of the other characters. Mm-hmm. At one point, he's like Sparky, who is his crew manager, right? Calls out to him, "All right, we're coming up on those dog legs. You might want to slow down."
Yeah.
And then Speed's like, "Not this time, Sparky," and he floors it. And as he gets through the dog legs, Sparky's got a stopwatch in his hand, and he goes, "Holy cannoli, Speed! Do you know who you're racing against?" And Speed's like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, just keep on going.
Yeah.
Somebody in the audience also is going to have a flashback around this time frame too. Trixie, we'll find out what her name is later on. It's just a girl at this point,
played by Christina Ricci.
But she's having this argument with a couple of bullies on this playground. And she's defending Speed's honor, whenever they talk down his character because of his lack of intelligence.
Yeah, they call him a retard, and she hauls off and knocks the crap out of one of them.
Yeah, that's it. And of course, Speed was racing by during this time frame. He sees it going on. I was like, whoa! But he crashes into a couple of bushes, so on and so forth. They meet up.
He was driving a golf cart car,
pretty much. Yeah,
in the park.
They're kids, so they're not going to have real carts. But he goes back to his house. They see Rex and Pops in the garage working on a car. And
Pops played by John Goodman, who I'll have good things to say about in a minute.
Yes, I see what you did there. Once he parks in there, Speed was talking with Rex, and it was this 68 Federation cars dropped off this little gift to you. So
Fenderson.
Fenderson put this little gift to you, and he was like, "Oh, I know exactly what that car is. That's probably an enemy." So he puts it in the little.
This is the older brother,
pretty much. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Rex said.
Rex, yeah.
put this into the little go-kart, kicks it away, and it explodes. So obviously there was a planted bomb. It was like a little sabotage sort of planned against him. So there's something evil in the works here.
They're in the garage. Rex and Pops are working on a car, which is, we find out later, is the Mach 5.
Yeah.
Because that's like the new car. The car that Rex set the record in was called the Mach 4. And then they created a 2-person car called the Mach 5 for like driving around town and also some racing. Mm-hmm. And then later on, Speed Racer drives the Mach 6 on his races. Yeah. Which is always... It's a good callback to the series. Because that's what the cars were named, there too. Yeah. But so Pops designs race cars. Yeah. Racer Motors, right? Mm-hmm. That's his name. And obviously the competition does not want him to be designing any more cars because they tried to blow up his shop. Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, Rex quits pretty much. Like, he walks out on everything.
He leaves Pop's house, but he doesn't quit racing.
Right. Like, he's not gonna be associated with Pops in particular anymore. Pops told him, to never come back.
If you walk out that door, don't you ever come back.
Don't you ever come back, and that was very well sold to me. And then shortly after that, he had this crash and then he disappeared. They still haven't found his body.
Yeah, he spent a few years racing for a company that is now defunct in the movie universe. And he was a dirty racer. He was knocking people off the track on purpose. Right. He was working with a fixer. Yeah. Right? Who he then turned evidence against and sent the fixer to jail and like brought down the entire company he was working for. Yeah. And in retaliation, at one of the rally races called Casa Cristo, his disconnect was or his quick save was disconnected, which is this really ingenious. It's a couple of hoses that like create a bubble of foam around you if your car's about to wreck and just launches you out so you're safe.
Yeah, so basically it's a good way to say like, oh, they're not really going to be killing people because this quick save is going to save everybody. So you can just do whatever to this car pretty much.
Yeah, but the wreck during the Casa Cristo rally, they found a body and the quick save was disconnected. Yeah. So Rex is dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, my next thing in my notes. He's going to be the best if they don't destroy him first. Yeah, so this must have been after, after Speed wins his race, but he faltered like a second. Right. So that way his brother would still have the record.
Yeah, he was ahead of his brother, and he like let off the gas at just the last second. So he was like a half a second behind his brother's record. Yeah. You could see it in his dad's face. Because his dad was... The whole time he keeps cutting back to Pops, and he's got the stopwatch in his hand. And now Speed's younger brother is like, he's going to do it, isn't he, Pops? He's going to do it. And it keeps flashing back to when Rex was setting his record, and there's young Speed. He's going to do it, isn't he, Pops? Isn't he? So when he doesn't set the record, like Pops gets this look on his face. Yeah. Like, oh, thank goodness. But
I'm curious as to why that would have been his reaction. Like, wouldn't he be, like... cheering him on?
I don't know. I mean, I think that thinking about Rex makes Pops angry, because of what he did. Right. Don't you ever come back. Right. And as we find out later, he really regrets that decision. Yeah. But so Speed finishes the race, and then it cuts to two people who are watching in one of like the private boxes. Mm-hmm. And the woman's like, he's going to be very good. And the guy, played by Matthew Fox, sitting next to her says, no, he's going to be the best.
If they don't destroy him first.
If
they don't destroy him first. And he had this 9 car. Like, they didn't say his name at the time frame. So that's all I have here. Yeah. Just 9. After that, Sprintle, which is the younger brother's name. Spritle and the monkey. Chim Chim. They're watching, they're wearing opposite pajamas. Like, the monkey is having a human pajama and
Spritle is wearing monkey pajamas.
They're watching this kung fu match on TV, so they're going to be in a kung fu match together.
Yeah, very much an anime cartoon kung fu, like old school, like 1970s, 1960s anime.
Yeah, like sort of like a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that this is, an adaptation of, an anime that was like such. Like it was very much goofy and but I just enjoyed that. Then after the news of like his amazing job on the track was politicized on this worldwide broadcast, this rich CDO Royalton,
played by Roger Allam,
which he does a great job here.
Oh, he's so smarmy. I love it.
He eats up every single scene.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up and he says pancakes are love.
What is it? He says it in German. It's like
German first, yeah.
Pannenkacke des Liebchen, or something like that. It's pancakes. Oh, I love. Like he completely chews the scenery. It's great.
Yeah, he sits down with the family for breakfast, of course. Trixie is there too.
Yeah, because Trixie and Speed are together.
Yeah, they're together. Curious as to why the family just have her in the house, but it's okay.
And we've kind of skipped past it, but the mom. Speed's mom, known as Mom Racer, is played by Susan Sarandon.
Yes,
who does really good in the role.
Yeah. Let's see. Basically, Royalton talks him into giving him a tour of his company, pretty much. Spritle and the monkey, get enamored with like this cavalcade of like snacks on the airplane on the way through. The Pops is really reluctant about meeting up with them and joining up just because it's big money, maybe it's too good to be true, so on and so forth. He hides like this trade secret from them, which is a little ominous. Like his smile there kind of tells you on, it's like, oh, this guy is not a good person. Yeah,
because he mentions he's that they're looking at cars being put together, and Spritle goes, "Is that a such and such transponder?" And the guy goes, "Yep, I own every transponder factory in the world outside of Teijo Kojokan's industries. But that's a trade secret," and then he like shuts the curtain on it.
Yeah.
What this is a sales pitch, right? He wants Speed to come race for Royalton Motors. Right? But he doesn't just want Speed, he basically wants to absorb Racer Motors and make it like an offshoot of Royalton.
Yeah.
Because he goes, "You guys have what big companies spend millions of dollars and years trying to build. Real family chemistry. I don't want to touch a thing. I just want to give you the resources you need to keep doing what you're doing.
I just want to give you money. Just put in the best words you can. Just like you just do everything you do. You do every single day, just with more money. That's all.
With more money and with my logo on the front of your car.
With my logo, with your name on this contract, so on and so forth. And everything that all comes with.
And the contract is just like you don't see it till later, but the contract itself is cartoonishly large.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like an entire ream of copy paper.
Yeah.
But there's 4 of them all stacked up next to each other.
Yeah, like what are the details that have to be in there?
Jesus.
I'm just curious. Along the way, you meet up with other big racers, Cannonball
Taylor.
Yeah.
Who is like the favored to be in the Hall of Fame this year. He's favored to win the big Grand Prix, which is like the big championship worldwide race.
But yeah, Speed is still hesitant to accept the offer. He finally he makes the offer to him, and he was like, "Well, can I have some time to think about it?" And he was like, "Yeah, go ahead."
He gives Speed a suit. Like when they first arrived at Royalton after taking a helicopter through the city, he has Speed measured as they're talking, and then when they get to Royalton's office, he hands Speed a purple suit that looks like Royalton's suit.
Yeah.
And so Speed goes to change clothes, and when he comes back, Trixie's like, "Hubba, hubba, handsome," like looking good.
Yeah.
So I want you to see that we treat our racers or he calls them thoroughbreds. We treat our thoroughbreds with the respect they deserve.
Right.
Which is an ominous line in and of itself.
Yeah.
But also he's so
the fact that
smarmy.
he looks so much like Royalton, like just a smaller version of him is a little unsettling to say. Then after that, it's transitions to this bus, Taijo. He's been taken hostage and he's being tortured on this torture bus. I just named it here, torture bus, basically.
It's the fixers who fixes races, right? This is Teijo Tojokan, played by Korean pop star Rain, right? Who is actually really good.
Yeah,
he was in a couple of he was in other movies. You should look him up. He's good.
Yeah.
Cowboys versus Ninjas, I think. He was in that. Wasn't he in a Star Wars movie?
I couldn't tell you.
Or no, that's the cast of The Raid. Was in the Star Wars movie. Ninja Assassin. He was in Ninja Assassin.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. He's good, and he's on this, what do you call him, the torture bus?
Yeah, pretty
much.
much.
This fixer is threatening to like shove his hand into a thing full of piranhas.
Yeah, and then like at some point, the tank with the piranhas in it gets like a little hole in it, so this water is spouting out of it, and he tells one of his henchmen, almost like, put your finger in there. And he was like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. And was like, put your finger in the hole. So he was like, oh, nice little fishy. And of course, they're eating up his finger. Like, he doesn't care about his henchmen, but he wants to take care of his piranha. Like, that's the most fucked up part about it. But the torture bus is being chased down by 9. I'm still going to call him 9 until...
Well, he's introduced in this scene.
After the fact.
When this action scene is over, the guy who was driving the yellow and black 9 car has he's got guns on the front of his car, and he's got sick. And he does all kinds of cool tricks and stuff, and he's like fending off rockets and stuff with his car, and finally he shoots up the torture bus enough that they toss Toja-Khan out of it.
Yeah,
right. They toss him out of the car. 9 driver stops, rolls up next to him, and is like, "You all right?" And he's like, "I live." You know, and that's when you find out that this guy is Racer X, right? And if you're familiar with the TV show, it's the mysterious Racer X was the sometimes ally and sometimes nemesis of Speed during the TV show, right? So this is played by Matthew Fox, the guy from before who said, you know, he's going to be the best. Yeah. Now he is obviously working against the fixers and the corruption and stuff like that. Yeah. So Matthew Fox plays the part really well, especially there's a scene at the end that I want to get into pretty heavily with him.
Whenever we get into that.
When we get to there.
Whenever we get there. Let's see, 43 minutes in, Speed turns down Royalton. He has some time to think about this. Yeah. And he finally just says, no, I don't want to do this. And then Royalton goes into, all right, well, if you have any brains, I'm going to convince you that this is the right decision. Yeah. You know,
I'm going to give you a history of the real history of the World Racing League, and then if you have any brains at all, you'll sign that contract.
Yeah, you know? I know. That scene was so wonderful. Like, it's
just the instant transition from smarmy, happy, wannabe father figure to pissed off, angry, I'm going to put you in your place, dude, was completely seamless. Yeah. Just really a credit to Roger Allam's acting.
You know, he ate it up. Like, he spoke about it very well. You know, the fact that, like, the races that Speed was looking forward to the most, like the one that Ben Burns won years and years ago, was
the one that he and his dad bonded over, the 43 Prix.
Yeah, 43 Prix. Like, they bonded over that race, and come to find out, that was fixed. That was fixed for companies' interests and for money and
to raise stock prices and stuff.
Yeah, like the unsurmountable power of money. Like just that line was just so perfect, And like they intersperse like that deliverance of that line, that monologue with Sprintle and Chim Cham just fucking around.
Yeah, because they stowed away in the Mach 5. Yeah, and went when Speed went to say no to Royalton, and they snuck in and just ate as much of the candy off that airplane as they could.
All the candy.
So, and then they escape, and they have like a chase sequence in the background where people are chasing them through Royalton, while Royalton is giving Speed this abridged history of how racing has been fixed for decades.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually they get caught. They brought them to the room, and. Let's see. Royalton warns you.
Talk about going to.
Won't place at Mount Fuji.
Yeah, Fuji is the next big race. You're not going to place. You're not even going to finish the race. I guarantee it.
Yeah, because he's a race fixer. So obviously something is going to happen of such. The race is going to be fixed, and then Inspector Detector and Race X
sorry about that.
Taijo's family's company. Taijo's family's company is threatened,
right?
Because it's the allied company of not allied.
It's a rival.
It's a rival company to Royalton's company,
right? This is Toja-Khan Motors, or Taejo-Khan.
Yeah, Taejo-Khan Motors.
Yeah, it's Taijo Tojo-Khan, I think is his name.
Toja-Khan. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Toja-Khan Motors. Yeah, they visit Racer's family. Taijo's family's company is threatened. Okay, I need to.
Yeah, because what Royalton wants to do is buy Toja-Khan's transponder foundry.
Yes,
right. because it's all about money, right? And you saw earlier the race car they're building, they're putting transponders in it, right? So, and they're talking about if a car with a transponder in it were to win the Grand Prix, I would think the demand for those transponders would go way up.
Yeah.
So if you can get such and such company at this price, then I'll sell you the transponder farm. Right.
Let's see. My next note after that, Speed's car is modified for combat. So he's going to compete at the Casa Cristo.
Well,
was there another race in between?
Well, you're skipping Fuji.
Fuji, yeah.
That's right. So Racer.
I think that was the 8 minutes in there.
Racer X and Inspector Detector, played by Benno Furman, who is pretty good in the role. Kind of reminded me of Inspector Gadget. I'll be honest, in like his facial mannerisms and stuff. Yeah. He really is kind of a bit part, but he's in a couple of key scenes. He talks to the Racer family. He's like, okay, so Teijo, the son of the Tojokan Motors guy, has agreed to give us a file on race fixing and Royalton, and we can prosecute with this evidence if we block this buyout that's happening with this company.
Right.
So he needs to get in the Grand Prix. He needs to win a big race and get in the Grand Prix to drive up the stock price of his company. Speed's like, and he won't do it unless both Racer X here, who is with the inspector, and Speed race with him on his team. And Speed's like, there's no races coming up. That was the last, because they went to Fuji, and Speed got knocked out of Fuji.
Yeah.
Like there was a spear hook that happened, and he got knocked off the track, and he didn't even finish.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I think it was revealed to him during conversation. And like that's actually like how you sped forward throughout the actual race itself. So it's not like you were talking about it happening and then it happened and then
and then like it should
that.
Yeah, as Royalton is talking about, you're not even going to place, you're not even going to finish the race.
Right.
It shows Speed getting knocked off the track and the Mach 6 blowing up. And Speed getting in that little foam ball, which I think we should really figure out how to implement in real life.
Yeah, real life. Yeah, that's it. That's how we save the world.
I would watch the heck out of stunt racing in real life. This is some, talk about visual spectacle. This is some stuff here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Inspector Detector says, well, there's one race left where you can qualify for the Grand Prix, and it's a rally race, and it's Casa Cristo, which is the race that killed Rex.
Yeah.
Right. So Pops throws him out. He's like, no, that already took away part of my family. I'm not going to let it happen again. Get the hell out of my house. Right. So Speed, after talking with Trixie, they're like on a date, right? And he talks about how he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know. He wants to help, but he also doesn't know how to deal with the fact that this sport that he's spent his whole life loving is fixed.
Yeah.
Is fake. And she's like, well, you know what you want to do. You want to go race at Casa Cristo and try to take it down, try to fix it. Yeah. And I'm going with you. We'll tell your parents we're going skiing.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, you're going to need me to spot from the helicopter anyway. So they take the Mach 5 and they go to Casa Cristo, which is a cross-country rally car race that spans 2 continents.
Yeah. This is the race I would have wanted at the end of the movie. For sure.
Really?
Like just the stakes of this is really what gravitated to me towards this race in particular. Like, I understand the Grand Prix, it's official, it's what the actual league is broadcast through, so on and so forth. But this like, there's just the dire circumstance of the Casa Cristo is just more. It feels to me more so.
It's very thematically impactful.
Yeah.
This race is. But you were talking about they modified the Mach 5 because he takes the Mach 5 because the Mach 6 was exploded, right? So they modified the Mach 5 with its normal jump jacks like it would normally have, but it also has saw blades on the front of it that can cut through almost anything, and it's got like little shields that pop out of the tires to defend against like shanks and blowouts and stuff. It's got emergency replacement tires that inflate underneath the old tires, and it's got a bulletproof glass dome.
Yeah.
Right, and so they're like, so Speed's like, is it really going to get that rough out there? And Racer X is like, it gets worse.
Yeah, that's for sure. Snake Oiler, like they go into a lot of details about the other racers in this race too. Snake Oiler, you know, they're a bunch of like little rogues on the road. Like they have their own motives. Like they gloss over all of them, you know, within seconds, and then they show the cars, you know, going under their faces pretty much. Like that was a nice technique. I really enjoyed that. Like you know, that didn't really upset me.
Snake Oiler earlier when Speed entered the Casa Cristo race. He was complaining to the fixer guy with the piranhas. Like, this is supposed to be my time to win. I've been waiting for years. This is my time to win this race. Yeah. And he's like, the piranha's like, or the piranha guy.
Cruncher, right?
Cruncher, yes, thank you. Couldn't remember his name. Cruncher's like, well, all you have to do is, are you saying the Speed Racer's a better driver than you? Oh, no. The problem is, Speed Racer and Racer X are better drivers than you. Yeah. The hell they are! Yep. You know, and so now he wants to take out the Tojokan team, which is Racer X, Tejo, and Speed. But then they put a bounty on Speed's head and on the whole Tojokan team. Yeah. Right? So every...
Like, I won $1 million on his head, and was like, oh, he's not even going to make it out of the racetrack. Well, I would prefer if you didn't even make it out of the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, so everyone wants to blow up Tejokan's cars. They've got, like... One dude has a catapult with bees on it, like a beehive. One dude has, you know, these giant spiked, like a maul, M-A-U-L, kind of a thing that comes out of the back of his car. You know, one dude just has, like, a pistol, stuff like that. Yeah. And so there's the stunt racing is phenomenal for this race. They start off on this rally and they're going through the desert and they're, you know, jumping over each other and shooting and trying to break each other and stuff like that.
They start whenever the sun rises, pretty much. Yeah, that was a nice little visual too. Like the person who shoots off into the air, which is walking, you know, towards the screen, and you know, she's dressed very well.
It's like if you know, the Indy 500 is the Grand Prix. Right. Yeah. Like the NASCAR Indy 500 is the equivalent of this movie's Grand Prix. Right. Then the Monaco GP would be the equivalent of this movie's Casa Cristo. Yeah. Right. You know, it's in a European country, and they wait. The Queen waits for the sunrise, and then fires off the starting pistol as soon as she sees the sun. And it's such a beautiful sequence. Yeah. You know. But it's a 3-day race. Yeah. Right. No, it's a 2-day. It's a 2-day race.
2-day race. That's right.
There's a 2-day race, and. They get through like this desert where everyone's fighting, and they get through a mountain pass, and then Snake Oiler is the first one. His team is the first one to show up. Speed's team is right behind him, and so then we're in the hotel where everyone's sleeping the night away before they take off for the next part of the race.
Yep. There's an attempt made on their lives by ninjas.
Yeah, this is my favorite line in the movie.
You know, or nanjas, as I would categorize them.
Well, ninjas show up and they manage to poison Tejo. Yeah. But Racer X and Speed both wake up in time. Speed thanks to Spritle, who spotted a ninja and started screaming. Right. And so they fight him off. And at this point, Pops and Mom and Spritle and Chim Chim and Sparky have showed up, and we're going to try to take Speed home. And Speed's like, no, I'm staying. You can leave, but this is my life to live, and I'm staying. Right. And so Pops is like, okay, well, I already let one son walk away and this race killed him. I'm not going to lose another one. So he immediately just takes Sparky and goes to fix the Mach 5. Yeah. To make sure everything is like...
And he kicks a couple of ninjas' ass, too. Like,
yeah, well, then later that night, the ninjas show up, and John Goodman comes out, and he's just, like, kicking this ninja's ass. Yeah. And at one point, he just grabs the ninja from behind in a bear hug, and it zooms in on Pop's ring. Yeah. Which I thought was a class ring or whatever this whole time in the movie, but then you can read it up close, and it's a Greco-Roman Wrestling Championship ring.
Yeah, he's a wrestling champion.
So the ninja sees the ring and goes, uh-oh. And Pop proceeds to, like, beat the living snot out of this guy. Yeah. Finally knocks him onto a dessert cart and, like, kicks him over the railing into the courtyard below. And Inspector Detective runs in after it happens, and he's like, what happened? And Speed goes, we were attacked by ninjas. And Pops goes, more like a nanja. What is it? It's a shame what passes for a ninja these days. Yeah. Yeah. His delivery of that line is so great.
Yeah, I love John Goodman. John Goodman's great in everything.
He is.
You know.
Let's see. So they start the race again. Right, they're on day 2 of the race. Only Tejo's been poisoned.
So obviously somebody's going to have to, race in Teijo's car.
Yeah.
Who is Trixie?
Exactly. Trixie's like, well, look, I can do it. You said I was a better driver than most of the WRL anyway. Mm-hmm. So they race with Trixie in the beginning. And this is where Speed and Racer X really kind of fall into a groove.
Yeah.
Right? They can predict each other's moves, and you can see they are a great team. They work really well together. Mm-hmm. And then they get about to the halfway point to a dead spot in the mountains where, Teijo shows up in a helicopter to take over his drive now that the poison is worn off.
Yeah.
To take over the driving duties. And the fixer, Cruncher, who thought he had captured Teijo's sister to try and force him to throw the race.
Yeah.
In fact, it was Teijo dressed up in his sister's dress, who then just beat the crap out of the fixer. So now there's a big fight in this middle of this snowfield between the racers and Teijo and Inspector Detector versus the fixer and his goons.
Yeah.
Right? And it ends up with Speed's team winning, obviously. Mm-hmm. And they get back in the cars and they continue the race. Mm-hmm. And it's a good fight. They're jockeying for position and fighting back and forth for the rest of the race until as they're coming out of the mountains, Snake Oiler is he gets so mad that he can't get Speed off of his tail that he pulls a pistol and starts shooting in front of the cameras. Right. So the cameras are zoomed in, and the announcers who I have something to say about in a second are like, "Oh my God, do you see that? He's going to be disqualified for sure." Speed manages to knock him off the road, get him to drive off a cliff. Yeah. Right after he drives Speed off a cliff, who then drives back up the cliff using the tire spikes that the Inspector Detector had put on his car.
I mean,
right? It was amazing. And after he comes up the thing and bounces off the thing, because they're on switchbacks, going back and forth down a mountain at this point. Yeah. Snake Oiler, who had originally knocked Speed down the cliff with an oil slick, does another oil slick. So Speed's like, well, fuck this, and hits the jump button and just drops himself down to the next switchback. Yeah. Right? And he lands in front of Snake Oiler. And at this point, one of the announcers goes, I know he blew up at Fuji, but this kid is flat out magic. I love his delivery of that line. Right?
Yeah. So Coach Khan's team does end up winning the race.
Yep.
And he takes over the racing duties, just in time to accept his trophy, so on and so forth. And it looks like everything is all said and done, but apparently this is all for Coach Khan's family's interest, to raise up the stock prices of, all of the car parts that they sell.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the winning the race doesn't stop the buyout, and that wasn't Teijo's plan.
Yeah.
It was just to drive up the price to make their family even richer.
Right.
So Royalton is like, 78 a share? That's outrageous. That's only worth 50. And then he waits for a second. He goes, 78? I'll have it drawn up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when you find out that Teijo was playing him the whole time.
Yeah.
And so Inspector Detector and Racer X show up at the Racer household again. And they're like, he played us. If there ever was a file, he had no intention of giving it to us. Right. This was, I don't know what to do.
Of course, Speed's going to take this opportunity just to drive angry, just to drive out his emotions,
Yeah, so he takes the Mach 5 out to the Thunderhead track, which they live near, right? Yeah. And this is the track where he used to go and, practice driving with Rex when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he gets to the track, and he's driving super fast, and he's angry driving. He's being reckless. Yeah. And Racer X jumps onto the track behind him in the 9 car. Mm-hmm. And they duke it out and trade paint for a bit until he manages to knock Racer X completely off the track.
Yeah.
Right? And then he lands in a grass field. Mm-hmm. And Speed immediately skids to a stop after realizing, oh shit, what did I just do?
Yeah.
And he goes running back, Racer X, are you okay? And the kid's like, man, or Racer X goes, kid, you can drive. I haven't been thrown like that in years.
Yeah.
And this is where Speed, who has had some suspicions.
He's really going in on this suspicion that Racer X is Rex.
Yeah.
Rex disappeared years and years ago.
Yeah. You appeared 2 years later.
You appeared 2 years later. You drive the same as my brother did.
Yeah. We were completely in sync during Casa Cristo. You drive exactly like he did. Just admit that you're Rex.
Yeah.
And at this point, Racer X takes off his mask.
Right.
And it's not Rex.
Right.
He's like, no, Speed, I'm not your brother.
Yeah.
You know, and so at this point, Speed he's down and out. He's got his team won the Casa Cristo, but he doesn't get to compete in the Grand Prix. Yeah. That's going to be Tejo, but Tejo's going to refuse it, so it doesn't matter. Right, because whoever wins the Casa Cristo gets an invitation to compete in the Grand Prix.
Yes.
He's like, it was all for nothing. We did all this work, all this danger. You know, we put our families at risk, and nothing happened. You know, why should I even keep driving?
There's Racer X reveals it's not race. And Speed in a scene that mirrors the one where Rex leaves. You know, Pop's company. Speed is leaving the exact same way, but Pops doesn't react. You know, the way he did with Rex. Like, he wasn't like, you know, mad and boisterous, you may never come back so much, and he just wants to talk with Speed.
And he says, you know, I want you to know that I made a mistake all those years ago with Rex, and no matter what you decide to do, that door is always open, and you always have a home here, always.
And that's a great arc.
Yeah, it is. It's a great story beat, and it's a great character beat, and it's a little bit undone by what happens next, but it sort of had to happen this way, so I don't see how they could change it.
Right.
Like, I thought they should have held on the character beat for a little longer, but they don't, because there's a ding ding.
Yeah.
And they open the door, and it's Tejo's sister.
Well, it's just to keep up with the pace of the movie, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is supposed to be made for kids.
Oh, yeah. And this is already over 2 hours long.
Yeah. Well, almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there. Yeah, we're at 144, and we still have another couple of scenes to go to.
Yeah.
You know, Haruko, Haruko, I think that's how you pronounce her name. I apologize. But that's the sister. That's Tejo's sister. She shows up.
The one that Tejo was dressed as during the bait and switch during the Casa Cristo race.
You know, she shows up to the racer house, the racer, you know, Casa, and she has the invitation to the Grand Prix that Tejo wasn't going to use anyway.
Yeah, he was going to decline it.
You know, so she gave it to, you know, Speed to use.
Yeah, what my father and brother did was despicable. I'm sorry. I wish they hadn't done that to you. You know, maybe you can do something with this. Yeah. Maybe this will start to make up for what we've done to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a great way to, you know, introduce that, for sure.
And she's like, I've checked the rules. As a member of the winning team, if you present this invitation on the day of the Grand Prix, they have to let you race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Royalton had said earlier that, you know, every Grand Prix for the last 50 years, the Grand Prix is the most important race in the world, and also the most controlled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they've got the finish order already set up. Cannonball Taylor is supposed to win this one.
Yeah.
Right? He's like favored to win. He's going to make Hall of Fame this year.
Right.
This is going to be his story. So then it gets to the race, and the announcers are talking about how they have an uneven field this year because Tejo Tojo-kan refused his invitation.
Yeah, there's only 39 racers.
Instead of 40.
You know, a couple of other racers, and, you know, of course, Cannonball Taylor, we've mentioned. Grey Ghost, Boom Boom, Nitro Venturfoss, Scarlet Valentine, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah, all these are just little throwaway, like, cutaways. Like, little tiny, like, 1 or 2 second shots, but they just...
Like, do you remember personality. Do you remember this episode of Speed Racer? Do you remember that episode of Speed Racer?
Exactly.
That's basically all it is. Like, they don't go into these racers like they do in the Casa Cristo, like, where they give like a slight little bit, which I kind of would have liked, but I understand, you know, cutting for time. You know, that's the race that should have gotten all of that detail. And this is the one that's like, all right, we're right here at the end here. We gotta, you know, go ahead to the finish.
Well, I mean, I really like this race, this final race. You said that Casa Cristo should have been the final race, but I really enjoy where the story went afterwards. Like, maybe they should have made Fuji the Casa Cristo, and made Casa Cristo be the Grand Prix.
Yeah,
but
that's what I meant.
But
that's what I meant by that statement. You know.
But I mean, I really like how this goes. Because they're talking about how there's only 39 of the 40, you know, slots. And then there's a commotion down at the track. Because what had happened earlier in the film, when Royalton was giving him a tour, he's like, we go from, you know, foundry making the parts to a finished car in 36 hours.
Yeah.
Right? How long does it take you? And Sparky's like, well, several weeks at least.
Several weeks.
Because they build it in Pops' garage.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So they accept the invitation, and Speed is super thrilled, and Sparky goes, oh crap, we don't have a car, because the Mach 6 blew up during Fuji, right? And the Mach 5 is still half out of commission.
Right.
And so Pops is like, so we'll build a new one. And he turns to Spritle and he says, Spritle, how fast did Royalton say he could build in his giant tin can? And Spritle's like, 36 hours. Then we'll do it in 32.
Yeah.
Right? And they do. The whole family, including Trixie, comes together to build this car, which is the new Mach 6.
Yeah.
Right? This is the speed racer car.
Yeah.
And so now there's this commotion at the race, and the whole racer family is standing there, like ready for a fight.
Yeah.
Right? With Speed, got his helmet on, he's next to the car, and they're not going to let him in.
Yeah.
Until Inspector Detector shows up. He's like, excuse me, gentlemen, do we have a problem here?
Yeah, like he goes over the rules, he helps them out into like getting everything finalized, and it's like, well, I mean, if you're not going to accept his invitation, then we're going to have to call off the race and go into investigation. And then Royalton's like, do you know how much money that would cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. You know.
And so as he's mounting up his car, as racing in the 40th slot for Racer Motors, Speed Racer, and the crowd goes nuts.
Yeah.
Right? And as the crowd is going nuts, it cuts to like a silhouette of Royalton. He's like, $1 million to the racer that knocks to the driver that knocks Speed Racer off the course.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, he won't even make it out of the pit. And he goes, this is where he's like, I don't want him to make it out of the locker room.
That's right.
Right? So now comes the big race. Right? And it starts off with one of the racers immediately, I think it's the Gray Ghost.
I think you're right.
Purposefully stalls his car directly in front, like bumper to bumper with Speed, so Speed can't take off from the starting line.
Yeah.
And Speed manages to get away by using his jump jacks, and he takes off, and he starts to catch up to the racers, and he passes each one. He's like, get that weak shit off my course. You know, he's
which that was a weird, like, I was not expecting shit in this movie to be uttered at any point in time. Like this. Yeah. It's supposed to be a kids movie. Isn't this PG?
Yeah.
They say shit?
One time. They say it exactly once.
In a PG movie? That's ridiculous. You can't get away with that nowadays, I'll tell you.
It's a good place for it, though.
Yeah.
You know, his Speed is and it cuts back to something that Racer X said to him on the track that night.
Right. Was
you don't get behind the wheel of a T180 to drive. You do it because you're driven.
Yeah.
And Speed is driven for this race. This is his moment, you know. People at his family ask him, well, what is this going to accomplish? What is racing in this race going to accomplish? And he's like, I don't know, but racing is the only thing I know how to do when I have to do something.
Yeah.
Right. He's blowing past everybody, and they're trying to knock him off, and they're being, you know, they're racing dirty, and he is just racing circles around these people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he gets up to they're nearing the end of the race, and he is like just behind Cannonball Taylor, who's in the lead, and they're kind of duking it out the same way that the two racers from the 43 Prix were duking it out that he and his dad were watching.
Yeah, that's
back
right.
in the day.
Yeah, Ben Burns, who was one of the commentators actually. I never, you know, like I didn't get that at first, and then I was like, wait a minute, yeah, okay,
yeah. And so he and Cannonball are kind of trading the lead back and forth, going through the jumps and the tunnels and stuff. And at one point earlier, when Racer was first allowed onto the track, there was a quick shot of Royalton talking to Cannonball. He's like, we've put a spear hook in the bottom of the car. Yeah. And Cannonball's like, I don't need it to take out a punk like that. He goes, it's just for insurance.
Just in case you want to use it. If you know, I mean.
Yeah. A spear hook is a grappling hook that shoots from the bottom of one car to another so he can drag it off the track.
Yeah.
Right? It's highly illegal in the sport.
Yes. I mean, you could probably use it in Casa Cristo, maybe.
I don't know if you could, but people do.
Yeah, people do. Like, you know.
I mean, people use, you know, giant spike balls on chains and beehive launchers and stuff. Casa Cristo is a cartoon.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, they don't really like to deliberate the rules. Like, it's not like Casa Cristo is an all-out, balls-out sort of race. You know, but it's kind of treated that way.
Yeah, even the announcers during Casa Cristo were like, you know, you can hide a lot in that sand.
Yeah.
You know, because the first leg of the race is through a desert, so there's giant sandstorms, or sand clouds kicked up by the cars, which is hiding all these illegal
activities.
But anyway, so we're in the Grand Prix, and they're duking it out, and he just can't get past Speed.
Yeah.
Like, they keep knocking each other off and getting out of the way. And like,
it's almost like Speed is a better driver than he is.
Almost like, yeah. No, Speed is entirely a better driver than this guy is. Finally, this dude gets so mad that he launches the spear hook. Mm-hmm. He gets up next to Speed Racer and he launches the spear hook and he catches the Mach 6. Yeah. And he starts twisting him around and grinding him against walls and stuff, trying to destroy his car. Mm-hmm. And they're coming around a track. And the announcer's like, he's got him pinned now. This is the end for Speed Racer. And this is, they're coming on a pole where there's cameras set up.
Yeah.
Right? And Speed notices it ahead of him. So he hits his jump jacks, because these cars can jump. Yeah. Right? And the jump jacks are powerful enough that it launches himself and Cannonball's car up and shows right in front of the camera the bottom of the two cars.
Yeah.
Where obviously there's the spear hook.
Yeah, like, it's going to show the entire audience that this guy is cheating.
Everyone watching, it's on live TV.
You know, so he's not going to be on the Hall of Fame now because he's a little cheater.
Yeah, plus he's driving, like, Royalton's new supercar with the transponder in it.
Which is why he's, like, going to be associated with this cheating and, like, all this fixing.
So it's going to kill Royalton's stock price. You know, and so it's that moment where Royalton is just destroyed.
Yeah.
Right. But he manages to during that thing, he lands on top of Cannonball's car.
Yes.
Which then proceeds to pop Cannonball out when in his foam ball, and it blows up, and so the Mach 6 lands. Boom.
Yeah.
Now, when they were building the Mach 6, they asked, "Do you want these transponders?" He goes, no, I got something special. Mm-hmm. And he pulls out this, like, weird sci-fi looking device. And Spritle goes, "Is that a Bernoulli converginator?" Mm-hmm. And that's when Pops is like, "Transponder, schmansponder. If you want real kick, you go Bernoulli."
Yeah.
Right? But the Mach 6 lands and it's shut down.
Yeah.
The whole thing just crashes. Like, the whole system crashes.
It's like they were talking in the audience, and it was like, you're going to have to do this, like, put it in fifth gear or something to give it, like, this little kickstart. And I was like, well, Does Speed know to do that? And I was like,
does Sparky know to do that?
And I was like,
And earlier in the movie, in the flashbacks with Speed as a little kid, he was driving in his brother's lap, driving the Mach 4.
Yes.
And his brother's like, "You feel that shimmy? That's your back wheels trying to outrun your front. Well, how do I fix it? You got to close your eyes and listen to what the car needs."
Which I love that line, because it goes so well if you're, like, driving a stick. Because you can hear in your car whenever you need to shift to another gear. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so perfect. That's just a great way to, put that in.
Right. And it flashes. Now Speed is sitting there, and Sparky's like, "I've got the readings all over the charts. I don't know how to fit. I don't know what to do." And Speed's like, shut up for a second. And you can hear him saying, "What do you need? What do you need?" as he listens to the car. And then it cuts to Racer X up in the box watching the race going, "Come on, Speed, listen to what she needs." Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the moment where I just sort of got chills.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it might actually be Rex.
Yeah.
Right? He does. Come to find out, if you drop the car into fifth gear and stomp on the gas, it'll jumpstart the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Right? And Speed figures it out just by listening to the car. And as the other drivers are coming up on the thing, he manages to get the Mach 6 started again, and just as they pass him, he gets out of the hole he's in and takes off.
Yeah, just like decks it. Like, it was such a great scene too. Like, just the shot of it, just swirling around.
Yeah. And all the cars are because he's at, like, the bottom of a bowl.
Yeah.
Right. The track is around the outside of this bowl, yes. and the bowl is like where the drivers would fall into after they hit their foam balls.
Right.
Right. All the other racers come flying around the track, and he shoots off after them. Mm-hmm. Right. And he may have had to drive circles around them before, but now he's got to drive circles around himself.
Yeah.
Like, and he manages he's jumping over cars, and he's doing flips, and he's knocking people out of the way by, like, side spinning in the air and doing all kinds of stuff, and the crowd is going absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And then the visuals for this movie have been turned up to 11 the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, even the quiet scenes, everything is a riot of colors. In this part, as Speed takes the lead and is coming in on the finish line, right, through the air, flying through the air towards the finish line, the red and white checkered, like, this is the end of the race thing, because Speed is spinning in the air, it spins around and it becomes the kaleidoscope, which was the first shot of the movie.
Yeah.
And it looks just like it looks like the Speed Racer cartoon, the way they used to do like the opening cinematic and stuff. Well, not cinematic, the opening of the cartoon. And Speed lands on like one wheel and skids across the finish line and then lands on his wheels.
Yeah.
And there's this moment of dead silence. And then the crowd goes nuts and there's flash bulbs going off everywhere. And Speed Racer has, in spite of everything, in spite of all the fixing, won the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like later you'll see that Tejo testified against Royalton in court. Mm-hmm. So Royalton went to jail.
Yeah.
You know, and like he
finally got his kiss with Trixie.
Yeah. He pulls Trixie out of the crowd and he gives her a big kiss in front of like millions of flashbulbs going off.
Yeah. Like there's a little warning from Sprite and Chim Chunk.
Right before their lips meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they this is the time. Like not whenever you're saying shit. That's fine for kids, but yeah. This kid, that was just a little weird, but I understand. It's cooties. I get it.
Yeah, well, it's like the kid pops. Sprittle's like, warning, if you've not been inoculated against cooties, this might be disturbing for you. And then like they zoom off the screen and it shows Trixie and Speed kissing.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie. Like that he wins the race.
Oh wait. You forgot something.
Well, that's
that is an after credit thing.
Well, mid credit scene, but yeah.
Mid credit, yeah.
They win the race, and then like the Speed Racer theme starts to play.
Yeah.
Right, the remix of the Go Speed Racer Go theme starts to play, and then it cuts to Inspector Detector standing there next to Racer X, and he's like, "This could change everything," and Racer X is like, "It already has."
Yeah. Right.
He goes, "We're having the family brought up here for protection and to help, for the celebration. You could go with them."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, this is something. No, I can't." He goes, "Are you ever going to tell them the truth?"
Right.
And as he says this, it's a flashback. This time it's Racer X's flashback to him faking the wreck at Casa Cristo and having plastic surgery on his face. So he looks completely different.
Because Racer X is Rex.
Racer X is his brother Rex.
Yeah.
Right? But he's like, no, this is a decision that I have to live with.
Yeah.
Right? I can't. I'm not going to ruin what they've got by inserting myself back into it.
Right.
Right.
Which I think is weird that he wears a mask if he already had surgery beforehand, but I guess that's just more of like a...
Well, it's a brand.
Like a brand sort of
Snake
thing.
Oiler's entire car is like snake skin and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Because that's his brand.
Right. But it's not like he is, shielding himself off because he doesn't want people to recognize him.
Right.
He just feels like he needs to shield himself off because of his past actions.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I enjoyed this movie overall. I gave it a 6, like a strong 6, veering towards a 7. But the computer generated backgrounds are still a little wishy-washy for me personally. Yeah. The runtime was something else. I kind of wish that it could have been edited down slightly.
Yeah.
But I really wouldn't know where the edits I would do because I'm not an editor by trade.
I would say I agree. Some of the bits ran a little long. Some of the flashback bits ran a little long. But I mean, I guess every one of the flashbacks makes sense later in the story.
Yeah.
But like the bit of Speed crashing the car in the park and then like rolling up and there's the bomb could have been shortened by about half, probably. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You say you give it about a good solid 6?
Good solid 6, strong 6.
I think I kind of conflicted about this one because I kind of need to do 2 ratings for this one, right?
Yeah.
Overall,
you do that sometimes.
I do. Overall enjoyment of this film, I'd give it a 6, maybe even a 7.
Okay.
Just because it's so much fun to watch.
Right.
It is intense. It is a very visually intense film.
Yeah.
There's a riot of colors and shapes on the screen at all times.
Yeah.
But as a film, I'd give it a 5.
Yeah.
Based
on quality.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's very, very underrated.
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely. It's not garbage.
No, it's
definitely not garbage.
Yeah, it's maybe I'd give it a 5.5. It's above average.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're not in the mood for, just the whole thing being turned up to 11 for hours and hours and hours, then maybe don't watch Speed Racer.
Yeah.
But it does have. It's a sports movie.
Yeah.
Right? And it has the feeling at the end of a sports movie. You really want him to win. You really are invested in how this sports competition is going to go.
Yeah.
Right? All the best sports movies have that at the end. Even though 9 times out of 100 the good guy wins, unless your name is Rocky.
You said 9 times out of 100.
Or 99 times out of 100.
Goodness gracious. That's a horrible statistic. I would definitely be more into sports movies if that was the case.
Yeah, but 99 times out of 100, unless your last name is Balboa,
right,
you're going to win at the end of the sports movie. The good guys are going to win.
Right.
And Speed wins. And it's a great adrenaline-filled good moment. It really nails the feel of a quote-unquote sports movie.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy this movie. John Gaeta is the guy who did the visual effects. And he talked later in interviews about every time he would try to dial back some of the colors or try to dial back a little bit of the storyboarding. Like, we can't do that. We can't have, 46 collisions in 19 seconds. Yeah. And the Wachowskis would just be like, no, yes, you can. Yes, and you will. Yeah. And he did. He pulled it off. And it wasn't always perfect, but my God, was it beautiful.
And, you can't really dial back on Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not Speed Racer.
Exactly. This movie would not be half the movie it is if it wasn't a visual spectacle.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the level of visual spectacle that it is, it would just be... Well, it would just be a less good version of Cars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
There was... I do have to say that you sort of have to mention this. There was one incident where this movie... because of this incident, this movie did not get the certification of no animals were harmed in this film.
Really?
Yeah. One of the 2 chimps who played Chim Chim bit the stand-in for Spritle. And from everything I've read, it was in a moment of panic where the chimp had bit this kid on the arm. The trainer smacked the chimp in the back of the head to make him let go.
Right.
But that happened to be when the animal cruelty people were on set and saw him hit this chimp. And so they refused to give them the no animals were harmed in this making classification.
Wow.
By all intents, by all everything I've read, that it was an uncontrolled, unconscious reaction. The trainer was just trying to stop him from hurting this kid.
Yeah.
Not the actor who played Spritle, but his stand-in for when they're setting up lights and stuff.
Either way.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to protect people from animals and animals from people.
Yeah, and there
there
might have been other ways the trainer could have got the chimp to let go. There might have been extenuating circumstances. Maybe the kid was throwing things or making noises. Maybe. None of that. It's not caught on film, right? So I'm everything I know about this is second or third hand,
right?
But every other movie the Wachowskis have made has had the no animals were harmed in the making of this. So, but it is something I sort of feel like you have to mention, when you review, because if you are a massive animal activist, Speed Racer does not have that certification.
Yeah. That
being said, I think it's worth watching. I don't know whether the chimp deserved to be hit, but by all accounts, it was a natural, if a bit of an overreaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But other than that, I definitely recommend seeking out this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know where you can stream it. I actually don't think you can stream it right now. You could rent it on Amazon.
I'm sure you can.
But it's not available on any streaming service unless it's on Hulu. I don't have Hulu.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in recent years. I think I was trying to look it up beforehand, and then you just lent me your copy.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what the conclusion we came to.
Yeah. I wound up lending my DVD to Keith to watch it, and then I watched the digital copy that I got off that DVD years ago. So,
yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
Don't watch it drunk. You'll throw up.
Noted.
Because it is, especially if you have a really big screen, it is quite a lot of movement.
That's true.
I'm not the kind of person who gets motion sick in films like this, and I got a little queasy watching this movie. There's a lot of spinning. There's a lot of bright colors, a lot of bright flashes. I mean, none of this is bad. This is an aesthetic choice. There was
It makes sense for the movie, but I think some people are going to get a headache.
Yeah, it'll give some people a headache. One of the inspirations for the visual that John Gaeta was talking about in that interview, he was talking about that he was inspired by James Joyce and cubist art.
Okay.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Like surrealist, cubist, art. And there's a really great, just going to shout out somebody else even though they didn't pay me. Mikey Newman does a show called Movies with Mikey.
Yeah.
He did one about Speed Racer, talking about the connections between Cubism and what Cubism was and how it was, how it redefined an art form, and then Speed Racer does the same thing but for film.
Yeah,
it's a really thoughtful deep dive into one's very specific aspect of the movie, and it definitely is worth checking out.
Yeah,
the Movies with Mikey episode on Speed Racer. So, but anyway, that was kind of my final thought. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No final thoughts.
All right. Well, this has been the Speed Racer from 2008 episode of the Doop Movie Podcast. My name has been Brian.
My name has been Keith.
And we will see you guys next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye, guys.